But I'm Pete Huff. I'm the chair of the Dunn County Democrats. I'm very honored to serve in that role. Really glad to see faces that have been in this office before. Even more excited to see faces that have come to this room for the first time. And maybe the last time. I don't know, but we hope it's not the last time. We really are glad that this is a community space. We're deeply appreciative that you're here to learn about these candidates. And I'm going to say a little bit of housekeeping here. I told Joe here that I was going to write a few things down, not because I forget what to say, because I say too much and usually the wrong things. So we want to just quickly welcome you to this forum. It was really important for us to have this forum. It was kind of a last minute thing for us to pull off. We usually don't do anything in July because we have the fair. And so that's the plug for the fair. If you're planning to go, come and visit us in the expo hall. But really, I wanted to state the goal of this forum because I think it's really important. We wanted to provide an accessible and respectful space for the supporters and the community members around the Dunn County Democrats to hear from the candidates that are running for Dunn County Clerk before the August 13th primary. So just a couple things there. We want this to be accessible, which means please try to be quiet because not everybody hears as well as everyone else in this room, and it's really important to be able to hear the words of the candidates. So I'm also going to ask the candidates to really hit the back of the room with your voices so that everyone can really participate. And also just we want to make sure that everything stays respectful. I said to someone here, we're all in the same community. We're all working to make this place better. And we want to make sure that we are elected candidates that above party, above everything else, are invested in Dunn County and want to make this a better place for all people to feel welcome. So I want to just make that's kind of a ground rule for us there. I want to just say the question process is controlled. We are only taking questions that were submitted in advance, thanks to the 10, 12 people that sent questions. Maybe some of them are you. We are going to ask those questions and integrate them into our questions. We're not going to take questions from the floor. We really encourage you to talk to the candidates one-on-one with your questions. It was just too complicated in an hour to take questions from the floor. It's not personal. It's a little messy. We are going to keep the candidates on time. We've officially deputized Jean up here at the front, our vice chair. She's armed with signs and has been deputized to smack the candidates if they talk too long. We're also recording Sally here. Our secretary, hi Sally, is recording just the candidates here. And that's going to be something that we make available because not everybody could fit in this room, although that would be super fun if we tried. And the last thing I'll say before I introduce my co-moderator here, or let him introduce herself, is please sign in. It's really helpful for us to know who comes to these things. It helps us understand who we're reaching, who's participating. Some of you signed in 3 million times, and I thank you 3,000,001 times. So please sign up in the back. Elizabeth is back there, has the board. Please sign in if you're able to. And so I'm going to stop talking and introduce Matthew Crow.
I'm Matthew Crow, going to co-moderate this forum here. I'm the executive board of the Dunn County Democrats as an at-large position and on the outreach committee. And recently elected city council member right here in Ward 2. I just want to say, a big round of applause and thank you to our candidates. Just running as a public service and going above and we're just going to kind of get rolling here into the questions. And first one was that? Oh, let's do opening statements. Yes. Thank you for that.
He's anxious.
So we're going to do 5 minutes for each candidate to have their opening statements, and we'll start with you.
All right. Well, I guess opening statement. First of all, thanks for coming. See some familiar faces, and also some faces that aren't familiar. So, thanks everybody for coming. Appreciate it. I just kind of want to take an opportunity for those that don't know me to just introduce myself. I'm James Erickson. I've lived in Menominee for about 10 years. A lot of experience in human resources. That's my main background. Also a lot in the service industry. I owned a restaurant here in town. So I grew up in the Fargo, North Dakota, Moorhead, Minnesota area. Lived in Minneapolis for about 18 years, and I've been out here now about 10 years. I moved out here we purchased a historic building downtown and opened a restaurant there, and I owned and operated that for 4 years. And my work was done there, so I went back into the human resources field, and that's where I've been ever since. Currently work for Jack Links as their benefits and compensation specialist. So I've been doing that for about the last 4.5 years currently. So again, I just wanted to just kind of introduce myself. I also have, I'm very involved with the Lions Club here in town. The Menominee Lions Club, I've been with them for about 7 or 8 years. So giving back to the community, doing a lot of things, and we're a very active club. The membership chair, I serve on their board of directors as well. If anybody's going to be out at the county fair this week, I'm in charge of the beer tent, so I'll be there all 5 days of the fair. So stop by and say hi and have a beer or soda, whatever you feel like. So again, thanks for having me, and good to see everybody.
Well, I'm Andrew Mersill, and I am your Dunn County Clerk. I am so excited to have you all here today. I know pretty much every face in this room. It's really wonderful to have you here to learn more about the two of us. You are going to hear a lot of similarities between James and I. I also owned a restaurant in downtown Menominee. But having grown up here in this community, it was really important to me. My mother, who happens to be here, always taught me the value of giving back to your community. And so even in elementary school, we were doing projects and whatnot in the community. Growing up here, it was really important to me to work very closely with our church. Our former pastor, Reverend Rob McDougall, is here, who also helped teach me a lot of the basic core values that have made me the person I am today. Making sure that we give back to the community in whatever way we can. Middle school, I was one of the first classes to occupy what is now the middle school, was the new middle school at the time, and a proud graduate of Menominee High School. So my roots run deep here. Having gone to college and then came back in 2010, I started a job at UW Stout and instantly started getting more involved in the community. I then that spring ran and was elected to city council. At the time, became the youngest city council member, and then would go on to become the youngest vice president and then president of the Menominee City Council in Menominee history. So I really have always tried to make sure that I'm getting involved in the community as much as possible. Several of you might recognize me from shows that I've done at the Mabel Tainter with the Menominee Theater Guild or at the Mabel. And I've just been really active with that. I'm currently the moderator of the First Congregational United Church of Christ. That's basically our church leadership. And I'm just really happy to be here. I'm excited to talk more about the issues and why we're running for county clerk. It's been my honor and privilege to be your county clerk for over the last 3 years. And we've made a lot of really good progress, and you'll hear a little bit more about that progress we've made tonight as we talk about some of the issues. So thanks again for coming.
So I want to also just acknowledge that this is a lot of work to be up here in front of so many people answering questions. Some of them they know about and some of them they don't know about. So I also just want to give grace to members of our community as they answer questions and invite that they may not get it right exactly or say it, they have to repeat it. I just want to invite grace to people that are running for office and putting themselves on the hot seat here as well. So we have some questions that we're going to go through. I'll start and Matthew and I will bounce back and forth, and then we'll reverse the order basically between the questions. And we'll try to get through as many as we can. The candidates have 2 minutes each, and we have 5 minutes total for each question to allow a little, overage there and some transition. So we're going to start with the first question here on our list, which is, and we'll start with James, and then we'll start the order back and forth from there. In your own words, this is an impromptu question, so right off the bat, here's the impromptu. We weren't joking. In your own words, what is the job of the county clerk, and how does this role support our community? And a follow-on from that is, what would you do to improve the county clerk position?
Well, I guess in my words, the job of the county clerk is really, they're in charge of the elections in the county, but really supporting the municipal clerks and the city clerks out there. They're kind of the boots on the ground, really doing the work. So making sure that they have everything they need, that making sure that they have all the ballots, all the supplies, making sure the poll workers are trained and they're going to be working. So I think those are kind of a lot of the essential functions. Obviously there's a lot of administrative and clerical work as well that goes along with that. the marriage licenses, county board proceedings, that sort of thing. But yeah, I think essentially those are some of the functions of the clerk. And then what was the follow-up to that?
That one is, what would you do to improve the county clerk position or the office?
I think just continuing to I think a fresh perspective maybe on things so to improve the county clerks, I guess, yeah, I mean, I think a fresh perspective would be good. Building on the integrity and transparency. I think being super transparent is really important. Outreach and education too for voters, I think, is really important. I've had a lot of questions as I've been doing this for people that don't even realize how the primary process works. So, a lot of outreach and education, I think I would do as well.
Well, James hit on several of the points of the county clerk, right? So, by state statutes, we are required to be the election administrators for the county, and I've done that for the last 3 years. Building those important working relationships with the municipal clerks, some of whom are here tonight. It's just really important to make sure that we have that, right? And so what I've tried to do in my tenure as the county clerk is do those continual improvements, right? So one of the things was I started implementing a countywide poll worker training to make sure that all the poll workers across Dunn County were trained exactly the same. Before, it was left to the municipal clerks, who did a really good job. But when you take a part-time municipal clerk in a small municipality, it's really hard for them to find the time to be able to dedicate to teach the poll workers and be really the most knowledgeable about all the changing election rules and laws, right? So I'm constantly, every day, checking with, when the legislature's in session, the new policies, procedures, and laws that they're enacting to make sure that our clerks and our poll workers know exactly how elections are to be run. So we started doing countywide poll worker training, and it's really important. On the table back there, you're going to see we're doing some upcoming countywide poll worker training on the 5th, 6th, and 7th of August, right before the partisan primary, to make sure everyone's aware of how the partisan primary process works. A lot of people don't know that you can only vote in one party in this partisan primary, right? So that's really important. The other thing is implementing new procedures to make sure that there are efficiencies in the office. Before, my predecessor was a wonderful county clerk, but all the election results were kind of staggered between municipalities. There was no central consolidated way to see the election results across Dunn County. So I made sure that we could do that. So now when you see election results, you can see each municipality, but then you can also see the countywide totals. The other thing that we've been doing is constantly working through improving efficiencies, and that's by doing things like introducing badger books. I'm really proud of the fact that we led the charge with the municipal clerks that now 91% of Dunn County will be using badger books. That is a safe, secure feature to make sure that our elections are run as efficiently and effectively as possible. So I'm very proud of that.
Andrew, we'll start with you on this. Can you guys all hear me out there? Good. Speaking to your professional resume and community service, what specific and verifiable qualifications, particularly in leadership, do you have to successfully serve as county clerk, and why do you think that these are important for the role?
Sure, that's an excellent question. I've been taking leadership roles my entire life. From work in student council when I was in high school, all the way through college. I went to UW La Crosse, where I got dual degrees in political science and public administration. I then went on to UW in Milwaukee, where I started my master's in public administration with a municipal management concentration. So those are some of the educational credentials that I bring to the job, in addition to the fact that I've been doing the job the last 3 years. But from a leadership role, it's really important. I talked a little bit about my time and tenure on the city council. I'm incredibly proud of that time. In all the different ways that we did legislation. I see the mayor is here, we spent many time duking it out on the floor of the city council chamber, but always in a respectful manner. So I think that that's really important. The other thing is I have participated and completed the National Association of Counties High Performance Leadership Academy. That's an accreditation that I added in my time that I'd been the county clerk. So doing all those things is really important. The other part is I was the first county clerk in the state of Wisconsin to be a Badger Book certified trainer. That was a really big deal because nobody had really done that. And they did that because we were able to introduce Badger Books to such a large swath of the Dunn County population.
What is
So,
Badger Books?
Badger Books are electronic poll books. Sorry, Steve, thank you for asking that. To make sure that the elections are run efficiently and effectively.
All right, I think my qualifications as a human resources professional will translate well into this position. My attention to detail, attention to detail with benefits is critical. I mean, a lot of the benefit materials, if that stuff is wrong, we have a lot of problems. Also, translates well into this job. You have to make sure everything on the ballot is correct. Resolutions for county board and whatnot. I mean, those kind of have to be. You really need to pay attention to the detail there to make sure that that's correct. I would say community investment. I'm a property owner here in the county. I have a personal investment in what happens in the county. Budgeting. As a benefits professional, I mean, we have to adhere to our budgets. Renewals come up every year, and we have to kind of adhere to the budget that's set forth for us. So I can't go over that. Fiscal responsibility kind of goes along with that as well. Effectively communicating, maybe not in this setting. I'm a little nervous, with the crowd here asking questions. But yeah, I mean, I've boots on the ground, training a lot of people in, benefit-wise. The last company I was with, we had a lot of acquisitions, so you have to, go through orientation for all these team members and everything. So I think that'll translate well too with the training of the poll workers and whatnot.
Thank you both. Next question, and we're going to reverse the order here. So James, you'll get to go first here, and then back to Andrew. This question is, how will you utilize technology to modernize and streamline the operation of the county clerk's office? And how, in utilizing that technology, will you ensure transparency and accountability?
Well, I guess this is something, Andrew talked about the Badger books. I think that's a great tool that we have now, the electronic poll books. Definitely helps with, ease of checking people in, as well as registering voters and the absentee ballots as well. So it's a little more timely, effective. People are a little scared of new technology that's out there, but I think just the education and getting word out there that what they are. They're not connected to the internet. It's not scary. They're connected to each other in the polling place. So I think that's one area. The website. I guess I would like to maybe see a little more information on the website. Maybe things a little more accessible on the website. More information on the website. So that's another area to utilize the technology there. And then ensuring the transparency and again, I think it just goes up to that education piece, and then also just making sure that I'm doing my job as to the law. It's basically a lot of the stuff I'll be doing. It's all based on statutes. So I think just making sure that I'm adhering to that.
So James talked a little bit about the Badger books, as I did as well. That was one of the big things to make sure that we're utilizing technology to keep our elections as safe and secure as possible. It's one thing I really saw when it came online. They've been approved in the state of Wisconsin since 2016, and so we really saw this. And Cheryl Miller, who happens to be the clerk from the town of Red Cedar, who's here, kind of spearheaded the effort. She was the first one to have the Badger book. And she was able to do a demonstration with other municipal clerks, and then they all said, I want one of those. They're really great, right? And we're really, really happy with that. We did a buyback program, or assistance to buy program, where the county was able to purchase half of the Badger books for the municipalities. So it took the financial burden away from the municipalities, some of whom are running on like shoestring budgets. So that was really helpful. And the municipal clerks really really glad about that. I talked a little bit about the improvements in election night reporting, making sure that it's as transparent as possible about who won these countywide races, right? Before, it was by municipality, you have to tally things by yourself. I remember doing that several elections. It was complicated from home before I started this job. So doing that, I think, is really helpful as well. I also sit on the group that is the task force that's kind of overseeing the website redesign and development for the county, which is really, really important. Because there is more information we can share. And so we've been looking at different vendors to make sure that we can provide additional information. One of the projects I've started is actually going back and scanning all of the previous ordinances and resolutions that have been signed, so that if anybody needs that, they can have access to that as quickly as possible. And we're working on actually putting all of those on the website as well. So that, again, that transparency in government is really, really important. So doing various components like that, I think, are really important, because though people might be scared of technology, it's important to note that on Thursday, I'm doing a forum with the League of Women Voters and a couple other county clerks and another municipal clerk to talk about the transparency and really explain how the election systems work, because there are questions that have been sowed and seeds of doubt that have been sowed. So we want to try to really explain how things actually work as best as possible on Thursday. So join us for that.
Andrew, for you, this is a partisan primary election, and with that, the mission of the Dunn County Democrats is to elect Democrats up and down the ballot, and our expectation is that all Democratic candidates, successful and unsuccessful, also make this a priority. No matter the outcome, will you commit to exclusively supporting Democratic candidates running for state and national office by helping them knock doors, fundraise, or other actions? How will you do this while prioritizing the integrity of the county clerk position?
Oh, it's an excellent question. So a lot of people ask that, right? Why is this position a partisan position? Well, the state constitution says that it is, right? So why is the county clerk? Why is the county treasurer? Why is the register of deeds? Why are these partisan positions? It seems silly, but that's how we are in the state of Wisconsin. What I always tell people is that growing up in the Democratic Party, I was the president of the College Dems at UW La Crosse. I was the president of the College Dems at UW Milwaukee. I've been a Democrat my entire life. I voted in every single election since 2002, which was the year I turned 18 and could vote. So that's always been really important to me. And the Democratic cause has always been close to my heart. But like what James had mentioned earlier, I don't run a Democratic election. My Republican county clerk friends don't run Republican elections. We just run the elections. We are doing that by the law and the way that the law dictates we have to. Why we do countywide poll worker training is because those laws can change. And I want to make sure everybody's on the same page to know exactly what they should be doing on election day at the polls. So I think that's really important to do as well. But I've absolutely committed, I've knocked doors, I've fundraised, I've done all those things, and I will absolutely do that. If James has been deemed to be the next county clerk after the August 13th, I will happily go knock doors and make phone calls for him, because it is important. I think he'll be okay, because whoever comes out on top will be the county clerk, right? There is no other position that's being elected on the ballot for November. So, but I think it is important, because the work of the Democratic Party has always been close to my heart, because we're here to lift people up. And I really have always believed in that Paul Wellstone philosophy that a rising tide brings up all boats. So.
Can you repeat the question again?
Absolutely, yes. So the mission of the DCD is to elect Democrats up and down the ballot, and our expectation is that all Democratic things that knock doors, fundraise, or other actions. How will you do this while prioritizing the integrity of the county clerk position?
I'll absolutely do this. I mean, this is, it's been regardless of what happens on August 13th, this has been a great experience for me, running for office and meeting a lot of great people, and realizing that I need to be more involved with the Democratic Party here in town. Regardless of the outcome, I'm going to be there. Some of these candidates I've met. I've met Joe before. I've met Rebecca, and all great candidates. So anything we can do. I mean, there's a lot of really tough races out there, Unfortunately, Dunn County seems like it's maybe turned a little red over the last few elections here, so really important to get the word out. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help us win.
And then the second part of that question is, how will you do this while prioritizing the integrity of the county clerk's position?
Again, I'm willing to do anything, and I know if Andrew is the victor. I mean, I'm going to support him. So, he's a fellow Democrat. So, it's nothing personal, obviously. So I'm willing to do anything it takes. If I need to knock on doors, make some phone calls, I'll certainly do that. So.
Great. Thank you both. And not that you have to come from the back room and sit up here, but there are 3 really prime chairs. One of those people stay there with my wife, so I have to say that gently. Yeah. So that's not, no one stares. So forward. We saved it for you.
Almighty.
That's a ground rule. All right, this next question is to me, and it's a juicy one. But the candidates this is one that was shared with them in advance, is that there are voiced concerns from the community and within our county party that pertain to each of you as candidates. James, from some support you've received from more conservative members of our community, and Andrew, from some of the from your time at the Maple-Tainter and your departure from the Maple-Tainter board. We'd like to provide you both some time to speak to these concerns to the degree that you'd like to. And I think, I forget who started last. Did you go first last time? So we'll reverse order.
When you speak,
James. Wow, that's why Matthew was on the board.
CD as well, and what message do you have to say to them about voting in this election?
Well, I guess, if somebody wants some skin in the game in this election, you're gonna have to vote on the Democratic primary. So if you are a Republican or an independent, and you want to have a voice on who your county clerk is going to be, you don't really have a choice but to vote on the Democratic primary ticket. So, I think if they want that voice, they're gonna have to do that. As far as how it might affect the other races, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess I'm not, sure how other people are gonna vote, if they're just gonna maybe vote for the clerk. I mean, that's an option. Nobody has to fill out the entire ballot, so.
So I'm very proud of the work and service that I did on the Mabel Tanner Board. I started on the Mabel Tanner Board in 2011. I was appointed by the City Council as a City Council rep on the Mabel Tanner Board, and I served that till 2018, where I started my term as a regular City Council, or a regular board member of the Mabel Tanner Board, and served as president from 2018 until 2024. Diane Morehouse and I were on the board together. There's several other people that were on the board with me as well. And it really took a long time. 13 years was a long time to bring an organization that was financially struggling from a huge renovation that they had done. We had debt that was left over from that renovation that we were able to pay off in January of 2020, right before the pandemic, which was really helpful because then during the pandemic, we could not have any shows. There was no revenue coming in for the Mabel. We did some very successful fundraising, the Give 20 and 20 campaign, which brought in an additional $50,000, 82% of which were from people that had never donated to the Mabel before. So we took an organization that was struggling, but is a keystone and a cornerstone of our community, and it always has been for the last over 130 years. I'm very, very proud of my time and tenure on the Mabel Tanner Board. But things happen and things change, and so the board and I decided to part ways earlier this year. There were some questions about hiring practices, and it's important to note that the board of directors only hires the executive director of the Mabel Tanner, and the executive director does all the hiring for the rest of the staff. So there were some staffing concerns, and there were some staff that were upset. There were some staff that left and quit, and it turns out that my time and tenure with the Mabel Tanner Board had to come to an end, and that's unfortunate. I still love the Mabel. I hold it very dear in my heart. As having somebody who grew up on that stage, it meant the world to me to be able to give back to that organization and work so diligently and hard to make improvements to it, to introduce things like the Spirit Room, to bring in diversify revenue streams for that organization. And boards change all the time. Board members come and go, and I'm dedicated now for this year to make sure that all of our elections are run as best they can, and I'm focused on not only the August 13th election, but also the November 5th election, which will be a very large election for us.
My follow-up question for you there, Andrew, is that there was comments in the community at a city council meeting that you were voted off the board unanimously, and then 3 other board members quit after that. Can you speak to that and possibly why the other board members quit from the Mabel Tanner?
So it wasn't a unanimous vote because not all the board members were present. That's important to note. And as a result of that particular decision from the board, there were 4 other board members that quit the board because they did not think that that was the right decision for the board. So like I said, boards change all the time. It wouldn't be a theater without a little drama. And those of you who've been around long enough know that we've had some drama at the Mabel over the years, right? We've had executive directors that have come and gone, so there just have been those changes. But it is unfortunate, but I've always said, the entire tenure that I had at the Mabel Tanner, I said, I'll only ever do what's best for the Mabel Tanner, and if what's best for me to not be involved anymore, then that's it.
There you go. Sorry to grill you both a little bit.
That's all right.
All right, moving on, a little lighter. Andrew, what steps will you take to ensure that the county clerk's office is inclusive and representative of the diverse population it serves?
Oh, that's a good question. So it's really important, though this is a partisan office, the people that work for us are not party affiliated. But it was important for me when I had the opportunity to hire a new deputy. I hired the first Native American deputy county clerk that Dunn County's ever had. That was really important for me to make sure that we had that diversity and inclusion as best we could. Now I have two amazing individuals, a deputy and an assistant deputy, who are from a different political party. They believe different political things than I do. They're Republicans. But it's important to have that balance, right? I might be a lifelong diehard Democrat, but my staff is Republicans, and that's really helpful because we can bounce ideas off each other and talk about the ways in which their views affect things and the way my views affect things. But ultimately, this isn't a partisan office at work, right? We just run the elections and are the county clerk, the administrator for the county board, the way that the law and the ordinances dictate that we have to. So that's what's really important. It's also really important that in my time as your county clerk, I've also done reach out efforts to the Hmong community to make sure that they're more involved, right? We want to get them involved in the process. And so we've done several different registrations within the Hmong community. We actually have voter registration applications that are in Hmong so that they can be filled out. Because that's really important, right? Our community is a diverse cross-section of the world, right? It might be a little bit different in Dunn County than other places, but it's really important that we always have that representation. And diversity, equity, inclusion has always been a key forefront of what I try to bring to the job every day.
The question one more time?
Yes. James, what steps will you take to ensure that the county clerk's office is inclusive and representative of the diverse population it serves?
Well, I think, just to kind of piggyback off of what Andrew said, yes, I mean, it's a partisan position, but the work that we're doing is nonpartisan. So serving all the members of the community, my bipartisan support, I think, speaks to that I'm inclusive of both parties, even though we might disagree on things. I think also maybe some outreach to the students, the low voter turnout, they're not really too engaged, so I think reaching out to them and including them a little more in things will definitely help.
Thank you both. Okay, next one's a long question, so just buckle up. The county clerk, as you know, oversees the elections in our county, and nationally, such positions have come under increasing scrutiny over the past several years, resulting in unfounded claims of election fraud. So that's an important role. What is your experience with running and or observing elections? And what aspects of our current county election processes are you most proud of? And where would you make improvements? Third question in one question, sorry. I'll repeat it if you need it. If elected, what steps would you take to ensure that all members of our community believe that our elections are accurate and fair? And we'll start with James.
All right, yeah, that is a long question.
Yeah, sorry.
Maybe the first part.
You can blame me. The election clerk oversees elections in our county nationally, we don't need that part. What's your experience with running and or observing elections? What aspects of our current election processes in this county are you most proud of? And where would you make improvements? And if you're elected, how would you ensure that all members of our community believe that our elections are both accurate and fair?
Well, I guess, I have not been a poll worker before, so my experience is being out in the polling place. Oh, sorry.
No, you're talking that way and I'm on. Yeah, thank you.
So my experience is being out in the polling place. I guess the things that I would be proud of, I think our elections here in Dunn County are safe, they're secure. I love going into my ward and knowing the people that are there and, seeing friendly faces there, and I'm kind of proud of that. And the third part, there was another part of the question there.
What steps would you take to ensure that all members of our community believe that our elections are accurate and fair?
And I think just making sure that that you're doing everything to the letter of the law and being transparent about that. And again, it kind of goes back to that education piece. The more informed people are, I think the better they're going to understand things and realize that these elections are safe and secure here in the county. A lot of things about the Badger books, and there's a lot of stuff out there, that people are saying about those, and they don't feel that those are safe and secure. But I think just continuing that education, making sure that we can get word out to more people, just to reiterate how safe and secure the elections are.
So it's been really important in my job as your county clerk to make sure that we're talking about transparency, right? And that's really important with our elections. And one of the ways that we're able to do that is to start talking about the actual ways that we have free and fair elections here in Dunn County. So I've been going out to the various different municipalities across the county, there's 30 of them, talking to them about Badger books. What does that mean? Because they have questions about it. How does it make our elections more safe and secure? And the result of that is that 91% of the county is now covered under Badger books, right? Because that's of utmost importance to us. The municipal clerks and I have a wonderful working relationship. We just had a little social this last week because it's important for us to check in with each other, and they get various updates too. They can ask questions amongst themselves about how do liquor license laws work and everything like that. So it's really important to build that sense of community, and I'm really, really proud of that. That our municipal clerks get to know each other and can be a resource for each other. I also think it's really important to do education and outreach about the freeness and fairness of an election, which is why I'm hosting a forum with the League of Women Voters on Thursday at 6 o'clock in the City Council chambers. It's me, the county clerk from Eau Claire, the county clerk from Polk County, and a municipal clerk here from Dunn County. And we're going to do a demonstration on how the tabulators work, how Badger books work. We're going to talk about how hand counting ballots is not an option. We're not going to hand count 25,000 ballots in November. But because the way that the tabulators are secure and safe. So we're doing all these education and outreach components to let the people know. We run free and fair elections here in Dunn County. We always have, and as long as I'm your county clerk, we always will.
Andrew, start us off. How will you handle disagreements or conflicts of interest that may arise in your role as county clerk? Can you provide an example from current or previous work that demonstrates your approach?
Sure. So conflicts of interest are really important. I'm actually the filing officer for everybody who serves as a member of committee with the county, as well as with the county board. They have to file with me if they have conflicts of interest, right? So if you can't serve on the highway committee and own a road paving group, right? So there's various things. So I am the county clerk that collects all that information. It's really important. Conflict of interest, of course, is really important. We talk a lot about that at the county board level and board education and outreach so that they know, okay, if you own a property that wants solar panels, you can't vote on that solar panel resolution or ordinance, right? So that's really important to note as well. So in education and outreach, I always do it with the community members as well as the county board members to make sure that they know that if there is a conflict of interest, your best option is to abstain from voting or remove yourself entirely from voting. So that's the important part.
With a question again?
Yes, please.
Absolutely. How will you handle disagreements or conflicts of interest that may arise in your role as county clerk? Can you provide an example from current or previous work that demonstrates your approach?
Question. Don't really have a lot of conflicts of interest per se with the current role I have. Differences of opinion, I guess. There's, I guess, I have to give bad news to a lot of people, when their benefits are canceled or whatnot. So it's just making sure that there's a clear message and just kind of sticking to your ground and making sure that they understand that this is what it is.
Thank you. We're nearly there. So that feels good. How's everyone doing? Everyone okay? You gonna stick with it? Okay, you're nearly there too. So last question from me, and we'll start with James. Like many places, Dunn County voters can be, not anyone in this room, inconsistent when it comes to voting in each election, and that's particularly true for university students who do make up a significant voting population in our county. What initiatives do you have in mind to increase voter turnout and encourage civic engagement in the community, particularly with university students?
Well, I think reaching out, whether or not there's anything in the budget, in the clerk's budget. I know it's a little tight, but whether or not there's anything in that budget to help with some outreach to the university students, partnering with the university. I've had some conversations already with a couple of university students. If I were to get elected, I'd like to partner with them to help. Maybe look at, is it worth another polling place on campus? That sort of thing. So I think that will definitely help. Was there a second part to that question?
The second part, I think that was it. What initiatives do you have in mind that may increase voter turnout and encourage civic engagement in the community, particularly with university students?
And yeah, I think also the second part of that, working with a group like the League of Women Voters or other nonprofit groups that might be able to help with facilitate something like that.
Great. Well, September 19th is National Voter Registration Day, and we'll be doing several registration drives throughout the county on that day. But like I mentioned, the work with the League of Women Voters that I've been doing the last several years, from various topics such as the new legislative maps, right? We're going to do an election integrity forum on Thursday. Those are all things that I'm doing to make sure that people are understanding the process and they understand what we can do. And that's a voter outreach effort. The other thing that's been really great is that Kate Martin, the city clerk, and I have been working with the UW Stout students and the Stout Student Association to work on various voter registration drives that are going to happen throughout this fall. It's really great. The other nice thing about the Badger book, the electronic poll book, is students do move pretty much every year when they're in college, right? And the Badger book, to be able to do voter registration on a Badger book really cuts down the amount of time and it ensures the accuracy of their registration, right? The other nice thing is with the Badger book, when you scan in your ID, it will tell you if you are in the wrong polling location, right? That's a technological advancement that we really wanted to make sure, because it is confusing, not only for students, but sometimes even the poll workers. It can depend on which side of the street you live on. Elm Avenue West, right, Alex? You used to be in a different city council work. So depending on how that works, that's how that changes. So working with the students to make sure that they know also their rights as a voter, right? That know that they have to, the materials that they need to provide with them, an ID, a proof of registration, to be able to register at the polls on election day. But like I said, we're doing a lot of advanced work so that hopefully we can cut down those lines on election day, because November 5th is going to be a big one.
All right, final question before closing statements. The DCD seeks to uphold the values of the Democratic Party and Democratic voters. What are the 3 Democratic values that are most important to you and make you a proud Democrat?
The 3 values that I hold most dear to my heart. Well, I think it has a lot to do with equality. That's the most important part. Everyone in this county, if they're over 18 and not a felon, has the opportunity to vote. And we want to make sure that they're able to do that. So equality is really important. We don't ever want to put up barriers for anybody at the polling location to prohibit them from being able to vote. That's of utmost importance for me. It's what I've made sure that we strive to acknowledge with the poll workers as well as the municipal clerks. So the equality part is really important. Diversity is important too. We are not just a community of one particular race or ethnic group anymore. And we haven't been for a long time. And we're growing increasingly more diverse. And I think that's important. That's why I've been doing voter outreach with the Hmong community. And really making sure that they know their rights. We're having applications that they can use in Hmong so that they can make sure that they get registered to vote. All of those things are really important. And the third thing is, the third value I think that is most important and why I'm a Democrat is because I believe that a rising tide lifts all boats, right? It's important to lift each other up. And in these politically divisive times, it's nice that even though we're opponents, we can stand up here and have a civil conversation, right? We've lost a lot of that civility over the years, and people get so fired up about their beliefs that it's hard for them to even hear a different side. I think it's really important to always keep an open ear. It's why anybody who's seen or participated in a countywide poll worker training knows that there are those questions. And they come out of the, crevices of who knows where these questions and these concepts come from. But it's always important, and I've always made sure that we take a slow, rational approach to try to explain things as best as possible to everyone, because everyone has the right to vote, regardless of your political party.
I guess some three values that would be important to me. I mean, integrity would be one. My word's my bond, that sort of thing. Honesty. We have to be honest. Make sure that the people are going to believe, what we're telling them. And I guess third would be fairness, and realizing that we serve all the members of the community, not just the people in this room. I think it was Barack Obama that said, there's not the liberal United States of America or the conservative states. It's the United States of America. It's just making sure that everybody, regardless of party affiliation or any of that, is included.
Okay. So those are all the questions. So let's just a little applause.
Yeah.
That's really good too. We were like, what if anybody gets in trouble? But y'all were good. Okay, great. Good thing you stayed to the end, right? Last what we have, we're coming up to the end here, is we want to give each candidate, I think we can give them, 5 minutes each. If you need 5 minutes, that's a long time, but if you need 5, you can have it. Just for your closing statements. This is a group of folks that decided to come up and hear what you had to say, and you get a chance to leave them with a little bit of wisdom and why vote for you. So please, let's start with James, and we'll finish with Andrew.
Hey, Pete, do you mind if I ask a question? Not a question of the candidate. There were questions that were submitted that were not asked.
That's right.
I would like it if the two candidates would agree to take a look at those and reply via email to the party, so that those of us who may have submitted something that was not asked can actually get an answer.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
love a good point of order.
Thanks, Stuart.
Let's do it. So just so folks know, we do have all those submitted questions. And what we did is we tried to go through, Matthew and I looked at those, and we tried to make sure that that they were all reflected in spirit somewhere in the questions that we were going to ask. So, because we can't ask all these questions. But we will make this available to you all. You can take a look at it, and we can provide the contact and email, and you can either provide it back to us, and we can provide it on. We'll figure it out so that it keeps it anonymous. We did commit to those being anonymous questions. But thank you, Stuart. Yes. Any other points of order? Love it. I can handle it. Okay, great. Cheers.
All right. Well, again, thanks everybody for coming out and listening to me babble for a while. Hopefully, cleared up a few things or answered some questions you were hoping to. Just regardless of whether or not you vote for me or vote for Andrew, just go out and vote Democrat. Very important. I just, would like to say I'm glad that I've got the opportunity to stand up here in front of you and meet a lot of you people over the last few months here. So regardless of what happens, I hope you'll still have me get a little more involved with the party here. It's been a lot of fun. So I appreciate everybody coming, and thanks. Go out and vote on August 13th.
Well, and I want to thank James for coming to do this today. I think it's important for people to hear from us, so I appreciate that. And I know it's not easy to always stand up in front of a group of people and talk about what you think and how you're going to be throwing questions. So I really appreciate you doing that. And I appreciate you all coming as well. I think it's important for you to know that though we have some differences, we're also very similar, right? And what we hold dear is the values of the Democratic Party, to make sure that we're going to advance those and work to elect Democrats this fall. I think it's really important. I have had the greatest honor of serving as your county clerk over the last 3 years. It's been the honor of my life. It's been the best job I've ever had. I never thought that I would start a job like this and fall absolutely in love with it. And I do. I love it. And I bring that work and love every single day. I've worked really diligently with the county clerks, all the 71 other county clerks across the state, to be a resource and to share with each other, to we learn from each other. It's why I was elected the vice chair of our district conference. It's why I was elected the vice chair of the conference committee. I am deeply involved in this organization. And if things don't go the way I hope they do on August 13th, I will make sure that the office is ready to go for James to take over in January, right? The other thing to note is that even though there is an election on August 13th and it's important for everyone to vote, the big election is also in November 5th, but I'm already putting in plans and strategies for 2025 and 2026. Because doing constant improvements and making sure that we can make elections efficient and effective, but
So that's on me, and that's why we're bonus questioning it. So I'm trying to be in integrity with y'all. County clerk has a lot of responsibilities, including processing all the necessary paperwork on behalf of the community. And one of those things that, I'm paraphrasing this question a little bit, one of those things that comes to the county clerk office is marriage license applications. Would you, under any circumstances, deny or distribute an application, a marriage license application from a same-sex couple? And we'll start with James.
Absolutely not. I mean, regardless of my personal feelings, I support same-sex marriage. But regardless of that, it's the law of the land in the United States and in Wisconsin. So absolutely not. I would not throw out anything like that.
It's so important that those who choose to find a partner want to be able to commit themselves to that person. I have done several same-sex marriage licenses in my tenure as your county clerk the last 3 years, and I will continue to do them. I actually take a great deal of pride in that we are a country since 2015 who has allowed for marriage equality, because it's so important, right? Nobody should ever be rights should not be restricted for people, whether it's rights to marry whom you want, whether it's rights for your body. None of those things should ever be taken away from people. And that's why it's important for me to be a Democrat, and why I've been a Democrat for all these years. You know, we've got a lot of concerns about Roe versus Wade being overturned, right? That's a big deal. That's a big democratic issue. And so I always bring to the table the joy that it brings to be able to do a marriage license for anyone. Personally, don't know why people do it, but that's just me. But no, it's important. I've done several same-sex marriage licenses, and it's important. And also that they know that that any couple feels comfortable to be able to come in, take out a marriage license, and commit to that other person. It's really important. And if there were any other changes in the law, specifically in Wisconsin, for example, if they tried to take away the marriage equality, I would work hard every day to make sure that it was reinstilled. So,
Another round of applause. All right, well, thank you. We were just trying to really keep you here until 7:30. Thank you to these two wonderful candidates. Again, they're members of the Before you go, a couple things. They have yard signs, and they're here. And if they run out, they're here, so you can ask for yard signs. The other thing that I would please ask is to take a vote no sign. There are 2 ballot questions, and if you are a Democrat, we say vote no. And please take the sign, put it in your yard. Really want to appreciate you all being here. Thank you. Our mayor is here, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to remind everyone that there are ballot questions and there are other candidates running on August 13th. We have one great candidate here for the 92nd Assembly District. Joe Pluff is here. If you're interested in his race, please. Yes, and I'm going to stop yelling at you. Thank you for being here. Feel free to hang out, loiter, chat with the candidates. Really appreciate y'all. Have a good rest of your night. Sorry.